Hey, welcome to another great episode of the Real Deal Podcast, the second one of the day. I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harding. Glad to be back with, again, another great and incredible episode with a returning, I don't call her, she's not a guest, returning podcast family member back on the show. I'll be bringing her on in a few minutes, but hit my music. Let's get it. Once again, welcome to another great episode of the Real Deal Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harden. Happy Monday, February 9th. It is the day after the Super Bowl, if you watch the NFL and Super Bowl. So had a no, I guess mixed. I got mixed feelings on the Super Bowl this time. It was my Eagles weren't in it this year, but it's still Super Bowl. I watched every minute of it, and some say it was a boring Super Bowl because it was very defensive. But the Seattle Seahawks beat the New England Patriots last night. So yeah. So if you were on the defense, if you love defensive games, that was it for the entertainment on that part. But I have, like I said, great podcast family back returning on the show. But before I bring her on, you can follow the show on all the podcast platforms. We're everywhere: Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, BS3 Network, BS3TVLive.com, Spreaker, where you consume podcasts. We're there. BS3 Network, Roku channel. Download the app and get all the shows from the network there. You can follow me on all the social media platforms. So that's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, where I'm most active, and then TikTok and Blue Sky as well. So let me bring in my guest here. She is she's done a little bit of everything. Talent producer, runs her own company. She works for ESPN. She's done a little bit of everything. So let me bring on the show Carol Voronyak. Welcome back to the show. Really appreciate it.
Hey, Courtney, thanks for having me again today.
Yes. It's been a while. And like I said, you're a talent producer. You've helped broadcast talent and athletes elevate on-air performance for career advancement. And you've been doing it for a long time. And we've known each other for over the last couple of years. So I'm so glad to catch up with you in 2026.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. That you've gone down my LinkedIn. You got
Yes.
the resume.
Yeah, got the resume there.
Yep. Doing a few things, but you caught the Super Bowl. Me too. I watched till the end. I always like to kind of see how, I like to see how the production goes,
Yes.
and like to see the commercials. What was your favorite? Did you have any favorite commercials?
I used to be into commercials so much. I don't really pay too much attention to them anymore. But if I had to pick one, I'm trying to go back and see what was. A lot of them are very serious. It's just that there's no like entertain. I'm usually more of the movie when they have the movie trailers, but they didn't have. I'm a big Marvel fan. Marvel didn't do one this time around, and I knew that they said they weren't gonna do one. And I don't really have a favorite one. What about you? What was one of your?
I liked the Budweiser, like the little.
Of course, yeah, they're always good. Yeah,
and obviously they used Freebird, so that was great to see.
Yeah.
To get the eagle to fly. So
yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, I can agree with that one. And they used a lot of celebrities too. Like they use more, especially lately, more celebrities in these commercials. If you really think about it, the last few years has been. This year especially was very celebrity heavy. I've seen a lot of that, but I did like that they paid homage to some of the old school commercials in a way. They kind of like bridged those gaps.
Like the polar bear
run. Yes, yeah,
because of Coke and
yeah.
Speaking of old school, which I don't want to be old school, but it's true. I'm 44, so I can admit that.
I'm 45. I'm 46, so yeah, I get it.
Backstreet Boys. Did you
yeah,
like
Backstreet Boys. That was a good one. That was one. Yes,
I was
that
like,
was one.
yes, and then the karaoke. They must have worked together. Like that was great.
That was great.
So,
I agree. Maybe if I had to pick one, maybe it was that one. Interesting
Hmm.
enough, I remember when they showed the Backstreet Boys and they had the one with the karaoke with the words in it, and
Hmm.
I was thinking, oh, maybe they're going to be in concert and stuff. And it was a karaoke one.
Uh-huh.
I thought that was actually interesting. So I did enjoy that. So, but did you enjoy the game in itself, or were you bored of it, or
Uh,
anything?
so Courtney, I got three kids, and I'm
Yeah,
also like the chef. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
was, I was making some food during the first half, I would say,
yeah,
of the game. Second half, I was able to sit down and watch a little bit, but at that time, but it didn't never felt like it was super close. Obviously, it was a one score game for a while, and
hmm,
then I don't know. There's that pick with I think like 8 minutes to go.
yeah,
That just kind of felt like just like it's a
yeah. It was
wrap.
over.
So
Yeah, it.
so yeah, but it's cool to see as somebody who can appreciate. We have talked in the past about youth sports and
Mhm,
you
yeah,
know American culture likes these high scoring offensive
yep,
displays, but as somebody who can really appreciate a solid defense, I think it was cool to see how the Seahawks. I mean, they were on it in
yeah.
terms of defense, and then I just love Mike Tirico, and he found a way to continue to call a boring game
Yeah, yeah, keep us
in the best
entertained.
way he can, and
Yep.
he's like off to Milan now or
Yeah, for the
Italy.
Olympics.
Right.
Mhm.
So I like to listen to, I like to listen to the pairings, and I've always found that Mike and Collinsworth are, you know, they're great. They make me want to pay attention. Kaylee Hartung, Melissa Stark, great job on the sidelines. And
Yes.
I just like to hear, I like to hear what is being done at the highest level, so that as I'm advising people who are on the come up, hey, this is something that's being done at the highest level that I agree with, or hey, this is something that's being done at the highest level, but here's how I think we can even do it better. So,
Yeah.
I do like to consume the high level, opportunities or the Super Bowl, Kentucky Derby, that just the pinnacle events, NBA championships, just so I can hear like, hey, what are we? These are people's absolute dream jobs, and so
Yeah.
how are we? How's it being handled currently in this climate?
You're just exactly like I am. I love, yes, as you know, I love the sport and whatever it is you said at the highest level, Super Bowl, NBA Finals, Kentucky Derby, Masters, whatever it is. But
Mm-hmm.
I also pay attention to uh, the production side and just to see what it looks like and just all those elements of it. And you said on the broadcast side too, as you know, I have the podcast and things like that. I love that. I love those things. And you said Mike Tirico, the professional at the highest level, who does probably the most versatile broadcasting we've seen, especially in in modern day today. Um, he's at the highest level, and say does NFL, he does NBA now. He does radio. He does the Olympics. He's the voice of the Olympics now and things like that. Just you said, him and Collinsworth has that chemistry, and they made the game entertaining because I knew when they were going to call it. Mike Tirico, as long as he's been in it, this was his first Super Bowl that he's called, and it just I didn't think about it. It's like, my goodness, it is his first Super Bowl. That's what and he's done like you said, Kentucky Derby. He's done Olympics. He's done NBA final. Like he's done all these calls and things like that, but he's never done a Super Bowl. But I just knew it was just going to be an entertaining, and he was going to keep us engaged no matter what the game looked like. But for the game itself, for me too, it was. I enjoy a defensive game too, and these were two good defenses until New England kind of turned the ball over a couple of times, and that then it
Mm-hmm.
broke it open because it seemed like the game was still in reach, but it just seemed like Seattle, you said, they had it wrapped up even when they were up 12-0. They still seemed like they were just a touchdown or so away from really putting the game out of reach for New England.
Mm-hmm.
They just couldn't get nothing going on that Seattle defense. So yeah, game might have been boring, but if you're more into production and the broadcast, this was good work, great work
Mm-hmm.
at the
Yeah.
highest level. So yeah, speaking of that, on the broadcasting side, how has everything been going with you over the past year? I think the last time we talked was sometime last year and everything too. So I know you're still coaching and things like that and helping broadcasters. How's that been going for you over this past year?
Yeah, sure. So I think the last time that we hopped on together was around our collective birthdays. I think
Mm-hmm.
in
Yeah.
I think I had just I think we had just so that would have been I so that would have been what, maybe like November of 24 or
Could have
something
been.
like,
Yeah,
maybe.
maybe.
It's been a while. So
Yeah.
yeah, the last year, 2025 was really good to me. We my business with coaching broadcasters has been it's been great. I've been able to, right now I'm actually in waitlist status. So the the seven of you who are in waitlist status, I hope to I hope to be able to get to you soon. But
Mhm.
right now I'm sort of splitting my time between several different responsibilities. So I've got my business, which is my clients.
Yeah.
Uh, so the individual talent who are looking for coaching in a variety of ways, mostly who are looking to advance in their current position or get a new position. So I'm still doing the coaching and assessing of clips, helping with resume reels, and just generally helping broadcasters just take it to the next level. So that's kind of like one piece. And then I'm also working with Anscape with
Mm.
ESPN. And so I'm coaching 10 Anscape talent, really talented Anscape talent who are, in various roles within the Anscape company. Some of them are more forward facing than others. Some are regularly appearing on like ESPN proper, Sports Center, and First Take. And then others are more with a written background, but just trying to make sure that they have the skill set so that when they're asked to contribute on air, that they can be as impactful as possible, with the idea that storytelling comes. We don't want to impact the storytelling with any sort of changes on air. We want to make sure that what the story can get across even better when they're
Yeah.
being asked to contribute on air. So that's number two. And number three is I'm working with a production company called Big Swing Media,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
we have a show that airs on the Golf Channel on Tuesdays at 7 and 9. It's called The Big Swing with Jimmy Roberts. So uh, longtime golf commentator and reporter Jimmy Roberts is the host, and so we've had some very high level guests, and I'm in charge of coordinating the guests and booking the guests. And we were just down at the PGA show. Uh,
Yes, I saw that. We
in
got to talk about that. Yes, we will talk
Yes,
about that. Yeah.
actually, shout out to a former guest of yours and a client of mine, Mackenzie Kane. I got to meet her mom
Mhm.
there.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Shout out to McKinsey. Yes, yes.
yeah, so I know you had her on maybe
Hmm.
like the summer.
Summer of last year. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with Big Swing, I've dipped back into my booking roots
Hmm.
after I'd been working with Blue Duck Media and John Boy Media to book guests for John Boy Media, which most people have heard of John Boy, but it's not to be confused with John Boy Media. So John Boy is an actual person. His name's Jimmy O'Brien, and it was he and Jake Storial started John Boy Media. And so, in addition to their two highly rated podcasts, Talkin' Yanks and Talkin' Baseball, they've expanded their their reach into an entire media company and now have over a million followers on Insta, and their social reach has that's where I was booking guests. So folks that could come and create short form content that would be pushed out and on their various social channels. And so I didn't know that I was going to be getting back into booking, but
Yeah.
it seemed like it was a good play, and I got to work with some really talented people. Shout out to Paige at Blue Duck Media, and one of one of my very good friends, Gabe Goodwin, that's his company. He and Paige are, I think, co-EPs on for Blue Duck Media, and we had stayed in touch after I left ESPN, just to sort of see, what could the future hold, and sort of waiting for an opportunity that seemed like the right time to collaborate.
Yeah.
And they came to me in March and said, "Hey, we've got this opportunity with John Boy Media, and we think you'd be great for it." And so I had to think, like, "Hey, is this something that I'm gonna dip my toe back into?" I had done it at a very high level for a long time with a great supporting cast at ESPN. And then, but frankly, I had been out of booking for about 10 years or so, in day-to-day booking. When I was at ESPN, I still booked like the SB golf tournaments, and I would still be a resource for contacts here and there. But jumping back into booking it was a pleasant surprise. I didn't know how it was going to go, and the way that we worked it with John Boys, we had, I signed on for like a certain amount of time, and then it was extended, and then extended again, and then we'll see if we can collaborate again this year. But right now, my plate's pretty full, which is a great thing, to be able to split time between that. And oh, by the way, I'm a wife, and we have 3 kids, and I mentioned that. So
Yeah. Yes.
you got to find time to sleep, and hopefully get in a workout, and make sure that make sure you're not totally burning the candle at both ends. But yeah, so it's been great to be able to have a few irons in the fire and be able to contribute to a couple really successful projects. And like today, I just found out one of the people that I'm coaching on Anscape. He's super talented, and he's got a really high ceiling. And he's going to be contributing on First Take later in this week. So
Oh,
that was cool for me to hear, because we've made a lot of progress in a short amount of time. And being able to see people who are open to feedback, and just making small tweaks that are making a big difference for them.
yeah. Hey, you're staying busy. That's the
Hmm.
main thing. You want to stay busy, and because like I said, not just on top of that, you're instead a wife, a mother, and stay,
Oh, and a
your
coach.
family, and
Yeah,
a coach
soccer coach
too,
too.
coach youth sports, and I know we talked about, like I said, the last time we had a discussion on the podcast, and we were talking about youth sports and how important that is. But you said you coaching and everything too, and now you said with the media companies. And interesting thing I wanted to ask you about is booking, and as someone that books guests too for my podcast as well, and trying to book guests in advance. As you said, you've done it for such a long time. How do you go about when you with this booking guests, getting back into it, booking guests for shows and things like that? What's the reach like? What do you look for in a guest to come on these podcasts, or in anything too? Do you reach out by email, social media? Like, what's the best way to that you look forward to when you're booking guests?
Sure. Well, with any project that I'm working on that requires guest booking, I want to make sure that we're on the same page. I think it's very important for the talent producer to come with ideas, but if the company or the project or the folks who are ultimately in charge aren't into those ideas, then we got to make sure that we're all aligned with who we
Yes.
think is a great guest. Are they available? Who's got the best relationship? I've never been a talent producer that's been like super, or hopefully maybe somebody can maybe check me on this if I have, but nowadays I don't feel like I'm very territorial or precious about my contacts. There's certain people maybe that I feel like I've got the best relationship with, so I'm going to go that way. But
Right.
like with Big Swing, Jimmy he's very well respected and has many deep relationships across the golf industry. And so if Jimmy reaching out initially is going to give us a better chance at getting a yes, I'm all for that. So, but I'm happy to do the initial outreach too. And so, like you said, there's a variety of ways you can reach people. You can reach people. I've reached people via DMs in social channels, LinkedIn. For for
Yes.
Big Swing Media, this podcast focuses on the business of golf. So like it's business like with a side of golf. And so a lot of these folks are on LinkedIn and have there's maybe less of a like veil to get through to get to them, and so I can usually find emails. Everything's pretty findable,
Yeah.
and I try not to wait too long. There's one person that I'm currently like I'm stalking because I just want a response, and I understand that no response is a
Mhm.
response, but I
Right.
just need to like be
Mhm.
able to put it to bed to say, all right, this is a no, and we're gonna move on. But yeah, if I've got various people within my own network who have the ability to, leverage certain connections, and so sometimes I'll do that. I've been that person for others in the past, and so it's it's great. I think you and I had talked about like, what are some of the things that goes into, booking a podcast,
Yeah.
the and this is a podcast that's it's a video podcast, and there's a production element where it's on the Golf Channel, so it's not. There needs to be a standard that Golf Channel expects, and we have really talented editors who can put together our interviews that are not just interviews, but okay, let's edit that and then edit in an essay that Jimmy prepares, and then we've got another our a written contributor who is doing some on air too. Her name's Molly, and so we have segments that we are typically editing in there, and so there's just we're a pretty lean and I'll say talented, a lean and talented team that where people are just needed to dive in and do a little bit more than like the job explanation so that we can put together a great product. But it's wildly rewarding when you see, hey, here's 10, this is what we were able to accomplish with 10
Right.
people. Like, wow, you know, so.
I love that. And then, and again, like you said, from the production side, and not just for this, but for booking, I should say, it's interesting because I'm always fascinated of how I've had people ask me, well, how did you get this guest? How did you get this guest?
Hmm.
And and there's always those questions. And can you help me reach out to this guest? As you said, some of it is relationships of or networking and getting to know someone and really like I'd reach out to you. We've known each other for a couple of years now, 2, 3 years now, and done a few shows together. And anytime I just to catch up, I just could reach out to you, either whether it's by text or by we met each other at Super Bowl Media Row 2 years ago in 2024. That to go back, yes, 2024, and
Oh
that
yeah,
that
in Arizona, right?
in Vegas, actually. That was
Oh,
Vegas.
Vegas, yes, yes,
Yes,
that's
it
right.
was Vegas. Yep.
Yep.
Yes, it was Vegas. So we had that. So that we connected, and you were right on the podcast, maybe like a week or two right after. So there's certain people that you say that you've either networked with or like say by LinkedIn or anything like that to reach out. And I say, hey, it doesn't the worst, as you said, the worst someone can say is no.
Mm,
That's the worst. And I always tell people, don't take it personal either. Just
mm-hmm.
people are are busy. It might not be the right time. Depending on who it is, if you go to them directly, you might have to go through an agent, you might have to go through whatever, a publisher, publishing,
Right.
so PR, something like that. So you have to kind of just, if you find an email or a DM, anything like that, you said you don't want to stalk them, but you want to know an answer sometimes, because you said, hey, it'd be nice if I can get an answer. If I don't get an answer, then you move on to the next. So I think it's great advice for someone that wants to be into who I love to book guest or anything like that.
Yeah, and timing is very key too, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
typically we're asking people to do this for free, and so, but is your time free? Like, okay, and so they're donating their time to come on and and contribute to your show, and so typically we'll offer like, hey, if there's anything that you'd like to plug or talk about uh,
Yes.
that would be beneficial for you to get out. Sometimes we need to wait. Sometimes
Yeah.
timing, like, all right, this person's like in the off season right now. It's not a great time. They're trying to take some steps back and spend it with their family. Everybody thinks that, their outlet is the most important, but
Mhm.
they don't realize
Yeah.
that, like, okay, hey, for every request that I put out, there's probably 20 others that they're considering. And so at some point, it is a relationship thing where maybe if I'm going through an agent or a publicist, um, I'm hopeful that a relationship with an agent or a publicist would be a pro for me, like on the plus
Yeah.
side, where they say, hey, you should do this because I've known this person for a long time, and they're not going to get you in a gotcha moment, or uh, you know we are a journalistic a high level journalism uh, platform, but we're not necessarily looking to we're not necessarily looking to be a lightning rod. So excuse me,
Right.
but I would tell anybody who's looking to get into that, but just having just like be aware of what's going on in the
Mhm.
industry, be aware of what's going on with the person in general. I had recently reached out to somebody who we thought would be a really great guest, but we didn't realize that he had an underlying health condition that was going
Mhm.
to cloud the idea of him saying yes. And so, I was able to find that out from a few different sources after I made the initial request. And I mean, you can't know every bit of what's going on behind the
Right.
scenes of everybody, but I do think that being able to communicate that to your production crew, like, hey, this isn't a no because of like Jimmy per se. This is a no because it's just it's either not the right time, or this
Yeah.
person isn't able to give us 20 or 30 or 40 minutes of time right now. So, all things to think about as as you're thinking about being in booking.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I agree 100%. Yeah, I just love that, especially when I have other podcasters or someone that's in the business that loves, we talk about the booking part of it. And yes, booking can definitely be, it can be hard, but like I said, I just tell them, don't take it personal. And as you said, you reach out to 20 people, you're going to there's going to be some no's, and they're going to be a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
yeses too.
there might be
Uh,
20 no's.
there
Like
might be 20 no's.
you might be over. And I've
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
told
yeah,
people,
yeah.
like, honestly, for me and what I'm doing, a good a good booking ratio of asks to net is like 3 to 8%.
Mm,
So
yeah,
I feel that's like a wildly successful ratio. So that means, I'm trying to get like 3 to 8 guests, like I got to do 100 to 200 outreach just to get that. If you're going with high level guests, I would say that it depends on where you're going. Like,
yeah,
hopefully, you're trying to get me, like, it's not, hopefully I'm like one for two, hopefully you're not having to reach out to a ton of people. Um, but I do think that as your platform gains more credibility and you're able to, if somebody has a great experience, let's say that someone, you go through an agent. This happened with John Boy Media. We were able to go through a wonderful agent, like a publicist who helped us get like Sal Vacano, and Sal had a wonderful time at at John Boy Media, and so then the publicist wanted to pitch more guests because they knew that the experience was great for her clients. And so, finding somebody who represents more than one person, and then making sure that the experience is one that is excellent, that's super helpful too.
yeah. That's very helpful. Yes, if they have a good time on the show or
Hmm.
on the podcast, and you're just having great conversations and things like that, and yeah, that's very helpful, and then that helps with others in that same medium of different people. Like I said, an agent, and they say, hey, I got other clients that might want to go on your show. I think that's another thing too. When we talk about Radio Row, we were able to network with other people, and they enjoyed their time. That just helps us get more guests on our show just in general, because now they said, hey, this was a high level podcast or show then they're thinking, oh, we got some other clients and that might be in the same, area and things like that, they would maybe want to come on your show and share their story, or,
Yeah.
share something that they're producing, or that they have, and they might have a book out, or, it could be an
Mhm.
author, it could be something like that. I think it's great. And, you just never know how far reach can go.
Right.
And, you
You
have to
know,
ask. Yeah.
and last year, I think when you were about to go to Hawaii, I
Mhm.
did go to Radio Row last year in New Orleans, and
Yes.
I was working with actually he's now the Chicago Bears special team coach, Dr.
Mm.
Anthony Blevins, and so
Yeah.
yeah, so Doc Blev was looking to go from coaching into media, and we did several sessions together, and we got a reel together for him. And I told him, I said, look, if you're looking to really seriously do this, you need to be in a place where people are going to give you opportunities to
Yeah.
speak and know your name. And I was able to um, I was actually able to be a bit of a publicist for him for
Hmm.
but I think he actually has an actual publicist, but just for this one event, just for the Super Bowl experience, I was able to, cast the net out to however many, 100 shows to say,
Yeah.
hey,
A lot.
I got, I have Anthony Blevins available. Here's, he's coached and he's played and he played this level collegiately. He's coached in the NFL and the XFL, and here's why he'd be great. He can talk about this, this, and this, and basically serving it up on a platter. As somebody who's booked guest, I know, okay, what's the hook? When is he available? Why is it important? Who is he? And so we were able to get him 17 interviews over the course of a day and a half, which
Yeah.
was excellent. And
Yeah.
he ended
Tremendous.
up getting picked up by the Bears very shortly after. I don't think any of the interviews had anything to do with that. I think it was his on-field credibility, but he was able to experience what it's like to go on a variety of shows and give his picks for who was it last year? Eagles and
Eagles. Yep. Eagles. My Eagles and Chiefs. Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So he was able to talk about that. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I guess I say all this to say that right now it's tough to put me in a box. I'm doing a lot of different things, but at the same time, if I feel like someone's asking me to do something that's out of my realm or my skill set, I'm very happy to say, hey, that's not something that I'm comfortable
Comfortable doing. Yeah.
doing. Yeah, or like you should be paying somebody else to do that. But I was just talking with somebody. Yes, actually, it was Emery Hunt um, over Instagram, just by saying like, look, it's tough. Like nobody's gonna promote you. Nobody's promoting you like for free.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
you have to be your own advocate, and you have to build
Yes.
your own team of advocates. They say it like takes a village to raise a child, but it also kind of takes a village um, to pour into you and your industry climb. So it's been an honor to have been able to be a part of many people's village as they are making this, climb or just the growth within the industry. And that's where I've felt like, all right, these are some God-given talents that I've been given to be able to maybe hear certain things or notice something that might need to be just tweaked or advocate for somebody in an area that maybe they're missing in their contacts. But
Yeah.
it's been cool to be able to kind of cultivate this career post ESPN to contribute to my family and also help people in the industry.
Yeah, for sure. And you're definitely always helping someone. And next thing you know, it's like, hey, it's a client that I've helped and coached, and now they're moving their career path and trajectory keeps growing, and resume keeps growing. So yeah, you're a big part of that. Last one, I want to talk to you about the PGA show that just happened. And when I saw it, I was like, oh my goodness, I wish I could have. We were in Orlando. Me and my wife were in Orlando. She did a show, had to do some shows, and I was there with her. And we were there maybe a couple of weeks before the PGA
Mm.
show happened. I didn't even know until I saw like video and things like that. I was like, oh man, I just missed it. But talk about that with the PGA of America, the PGA show, the experience and everything, what that was all about.
Sure. So even though I do have a deep background with golf, I think I played at
Yeah.
University of Illinois
Hmm.
um
Yes.
and have just been a golf fan my whole life. My
I'm a
dad,
big golf fan too.
yeah, my dad taught me how to play golf at an early age. We lived across the street from a golf course, and golf was a big part of my husband and I's courtship. Less so
Yeah.
now with the three kids, but um when I was asked to be a part of this Big Swing Media team, it was from some colleagues that I had worked with when I was at ESPN, and so they said, we have a need here. We are launching this show on Golf Channel, so we need somebody who knows golf and booking, and you're sort of like at the top of our list. So I said, okay, well,
Yeah.
um, so early on in our meeting, excuse me, in our like production meetings, we had talked about that Big Swing Media was going to be going to the PGA show, and that's something that I've never been to before, and I have. Courtney, have you ever been to NABJ?
No, but I've been
Okay.
wanting to go. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So I have as a bar like NABJ and Radio Row or Media Row, I guess, at Super Bowl as um my conference or convention type
Yes.
experiences, which are huge productions, right? Like that have booths and media opportunities. I feel like you honestly like times it by four. There was so many. This was
Mm.
so huge in terms of like merchandise and everything that you would need for. It's where a pro builds his pro shop, right? Or
Hmm.
her pro shop. And so there was like the apparel and golf every little type, like different types of sunscreen, different types of clubs. There was like a whole there was actually like a pickleball component, like a racket sports component to
Hmm.
the
I
PGA
saw
shows,
that. Yep.
just since it's like they're related, or I would say they're maybe cousins, right? And but there was places to test out clubs, and there was an infrared sauna. There was like a whole little Barbie house where it was a it was a collaboration with this company called For All, who specializes in women's golf clothing.
Mm.
And so it was really eye-opening when I walked around for the first day to see how many different, I mean, golf is a huge industry.
Yes.
And I don't get to experience it quite as much as I used to, just personally, and being able to be around pro shops and courses. But I did spend a fair amount of time growing up. I worked at golf courses. I was a beer cart girl. I was a front
Mm.
desk girl. Um, and so I've been in and around the golf industry for a long time. And so it was really cool to see, like, this is how you had the biggest brands there, and then you had some like unique brands, some custom brands, but really beautiful handcrafted custom club head covers that
Yeah.
is going to run you several steak dinners to get
Yes.
that club head covered. But
Hmm.
you could see them being made on site. You could see just the passion in the folks who were there. And there were several different media companies that were broadcasting from. PGA of America had a studio there, and so that's where Swing Media were able to set up interviews with several different guests. So we had David Abelus of TaylorMade, and we had Hoyt McGarity, 8 a.m. Golf, and then Greg Nathan of National Golf Foundation. So we were able to actually produce some shows and content there. And then I was able to meet up with several people who were on our guest list, our dream list, to say, hey, here's who we are, here's who I am. I would love for your client or your colleague to consider this interview, and so I think I made some headway. We'll see if I need to do some
Do
follow-ups
some
after.
follows, right?
Yeah, but it was really cool, and I was glad I was able to reconnect with an college golf teammate, which was nice,
Yeah.
at a happy hour beforehand, and then I saw her on the floor, and she's a publicist now. She does PR for several different people within the golf industry, and so
Mhm.
it was neat to go back to my roots. We, you know, I actually don't love travel. I actually don't love being away from my family.
Right.
But anytime I do go to an event, especially one where I can hit a lot of different folks in a short amount of time, it just reminds me of just the skill set and the passion that I have for the various industries and being in the on the production side of things too. So it was
Yeah.
very cool.
I know. I saw that. I was like, "Oh my goodness, I would have loved something like that just to be there." And I saw like a lot of the, as you said, it was golf and business and fashion, and I know they had a fashion show, and there was a lot of content creators there as well. And
Yes.
they talked about, and then I listened to some of the videos that they had, some of the content that they had that they were, talking about, like I said, the business side of golf, and I thought that was fascinating. And I was thinking, man, maybe next time I will try to, just to get a ticket, just to go, just to get there and spend one day there,
Yeah.
just to consume it, and just to be a part of it, because I love golf. I love the golf betting side of it. I love to watch it. I love all of that, all those things about it too. So it's looked like it was a great great time for that. I think it was like 3 days, I believe it was, for that
Yeah.
at that time.
And you can even apply for like a media credential.
Mm,
That's how
yeah,
I got in. A media
yeah,
credential and potentially maybe you book a few guests from down there, and maybe there's areas in the lobby to do to do actual podcasts
yeah.
or just build relationships for future shows. Where are you in Maryland? Where are you?
Philadelphia.
Oh, Philly. Oh yeah, okay.
Philly. Yep.
Okay, so anytime you're gonna get out of Philly in January, it's probably a good
Yes,
thing.
it's,
Like
it's just so much.
down to Florida. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I
it was
said,
right before the ice storm hit our. We live just south of Nashville, and so
yeah,
the ice storm that crossed the country, it
yep.
shut us down for a week and a
Oh,
day. So
yeah. Yeah, it was bad. We had the
yeah,
same time. We was out of commission for a couple of days too, and yeah, it was tough. That was a bad. Yeah, we had just got back from Florida. We went the first week. We went right after New Year's, like that weekend, to Orlando for a few days, and then came back. And then that next weekend was the ice storm, and yeah,
mm,
it was pretty brutal. So it was pretty bad. So yeah, we've had some bitter cold here too. It's been very very cold these past. They said for 15 days it was just cold, ice, snow. Still trying to recover, so looking forward to
mhm.
warmer weather. But yeah, the PJ show, I'm gonna definitely look into that for next year, and see if I can try to get a
Yeah,
credential, because as we talked about off camera about Super Bowl, how expensive that is. San Francisco this year was very expensive, and
mm.
LA is probably gonna be even more expensive next year.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah, Los
sure.
Angeles. Yeah.
I'm
So,
overdue. Actually, I actually have kind of cool news to tell you about
yeah.
LA though. I was asked to give the like the best practices on broadcasting remarks at the NFL media boot camp, the broadcast
Oh,
boot
well,
camp. Yeah.
congratulations. Yeah,
So
breaking
yeah,
news.
yeah. So that's cool.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be able to shout out to Aisha Cheney, who is one of my best friends who
Mm,
put me in the running for that, and I'll be doing that. But um, you and I have talked a little bit about faith in the past too, Courtney, and I
yes.
just one of the things that just before I go, like I just feel like you know this industry, and especially this time period right now, it can be very daunting, right? If you're thinking
Yes.
about like there's a lot of people without jobs. I mean, you saw the Washington Post
Washington Post, yeah, to cut their
just cut
sports
down.
department, and
Right.
a lot.
And so there's a lot of things that can cause us to spiral
Mm-hmm.
with worry and fear, and a lot of them are very warranted. But I actually I have a friend who had posted something last night, and it was just talking about like, you know, not worrying,
Yeah.
and when you have your faith in Jesus, I really think that I know that he can change hearts. And
Yes, absolutely.
so, there was a prayer that she had posted, and it had talked about like worry paralyzes and faith mobilizes. And
I like
that
that.
just hit me so hard last night as we actually, other breaking news, which is terrible, but like we lost my father-in-law last week. He passed away.
Oh, sorry to hear that,
Yeah, thank you.
Heather. Heather.
It was like 5 weeks of a series of sudden and severe
Oh,
illnesses, and
mm,
he was part of our caretaking team, and just a friendly, awesome guy who was over every night. And so
yeah,
I was starting to kind of like spiral, thinking about just, I don't know, how are we gonna go on, but I just know that like having that faith in Jesus and knowing that um, He's got us no matter what. And
yep,
hopefully, if anybody's listening to this today and needs to hear that, and or is listening in the future, but just like faith allows us, just faith mobilizes. I don't know if you've ever experienced that paralysis of worry, but I was in that paralysis yesterday of worry, and it took me down, even though I'm maybe somebody who, okay, yes, she's got three gigs and she's doing well, she's got the kids,
hmm
like I'm susceptible to worry too. So
yeah.
that was
We all
that was
are.
me yesterday, but we're I'm on the up and up, and I feel just like, continually fixing your eyes on the Lord is going to help combat that worry just day after day. So
Yeah,
just felt like I
absolutely.
needed to share that.
No, no, I'm glad you did, because I'm with you. And as we talked, we definitely shared our faith, and I think you're right. I think it's very important, and it's interesting too, because me and my wife talk about this all the time. It's very that you brought that up about not worrying, because things do come up, and things like that. You said yes, we have that human element of we're going to worry, we're going to have those emotions and things like that. But if you keep your faith strong, and your faith has to be strong, continue to be
Hmm.
strong in the Lord, and He'll get you through anything. And we have to stay the course of that and keep the Lord as our center of our
Yeah.
lives. He will for sure get you through in any storm that you
Yes.
that you go through, and we go through a lot of them. All
And
we all do.
it's not if, it's when. We are
And yeah,
James 1, 2, and 3 continues to follow me around about like,
yeah,
consider it pure joy, my
joy,
brothers and
yeah.
sisters, when you
You
face
go face it.
trials
Yep.
of many kinds. Many, it's not
Many
if,
kind.
it's
It's
when,
just
and it's
when.
many. They're
Yeah,
coming.
many. They're coming. They're coming.
Oh,
They're coming.
I
Just
was
to,
like,
yep.
can this verse leave me alone? But
Yeah, yes. Hmm.
but we do have that hope and promise there, that it's refining us, and it's making anybody who chooses to go into the journalism industry, broadcast industry, should know, like, this is not going to be without trial. There
Yeah.
is not a soul that I know who is in the broadcast industry who's had like an easy rise, or
Right.
even
Right.
without adversity. There is a deep and talented pool of people. So
Hmm.
that alone should tell you, like, hey, we're fighters, we're survivors, you continue to be resilient. I think about my father-in-law who just passed. Like, he was the definition of resilience,
Yeah.
and just getting back up, despite the curves that life will throw our way, because they're gonna have a
We're
curveball.
gonna have, yeah.
Yeah, and if you haven't yet, like, not that you should be looking out for it, but it's gonna happen.
It's that.
And yeah, so, but always good to get a good word with
Yeah, yeah, with you. Yeah,
Courtney.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I love that we were able to share those things, and like I said, able just to keep we fight the good fight, and we press on. Like my grandma used to always say, keep moving on. She said that all the time. You keep moving on. You
Mm-hmm.
keep having faith. You just keep moving on. So
Yeah, the moving. That's the mobilizing, right?
that's the mobilizing. Yeah.
Paralyzed moving. We're moving
Yeah, you're
forward.
moving forward. Yep. There's a song called "Moving Forward," so that's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's it. So for sure. But I really appreciate you, Carol, as always, bringing just great insight, and just great word and encouragement and all those things. That I do appreciate our friendship so much. And every time I ask you, we either got something new going on, or we just want to share the different things we got coming up in our lives too. So again, thank you for your time as always. Really appreciate it, and we'll be talking very soon, I'm sure of it. So enjoy the rest of the week and with you and your family. And thanks again. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Courtney. Have a great day.
All right, you too. Thank you.